Alright, Clem and Maru kicking off. Best of 5 in the round of 80 of the NetEase Esports X tournament. SC2 Masters 2021, Season 1. I got really good at this tournament name, didn't I? Really good. Alrighty, so, just to clarify, we found out Maru is indeed at the GSL nominations, which means that this is a replay. Played when? I have no idea. Probably the last, I mean, it has to be the last couple of days or so. But this was already played, so this is not live. Again, I did not know this before, because I'm already getting messages accusing me of being a match fixer and trying to tell people it was live. Like I said, the solo time series was live. This one is not live. This is obviously a replay, so I'm just trying to give you guys the information I can. I'm currently getting flooded in DMs of hate and, like, just dumbass comments from people, like, telling me that I'm the reason for all of this. I don't even know what. Like, it's just getting a bit crazy. Alright, so, game 1, let's see what happens. I mean, Clem, I gotta say, his TvT lately has just not looked good. Not looked as, like, it's not that it's not looked good, but when you talk about Clem and his TVC and his TVP, his TvT's been lacking, especially against Korean Terrans. You look at that series, or the few series he's played against Q, and he struggles a bit against the Korean Terrans. When he played Maru in World Team League, yes, it was 1-1, but those games were meant to be much easier for Clem to win than they were. And that made this much tougher, so yeah. As we get set up into game number 1 of this best of 5, let's have a look to see just what's going to be happening between Maru and Clem. Hey, Moonstruck Fool, thank you so much for the 51-month resub. Welcome back. As the Reaper shows up, gonna jump in and go for the SCV. It's actually nice getting in there, getting an SCV already. Now Clem having to chase around a little bit. Reaper is having a bit of a run around then, having a bit of fun. As we just have a Hellion production coming through. I'm going to go for 2 Reapers here actually, so already going to go into this kind of Reaper Hellion setup to begin with. It's just going to be seeing our command center building up on that natural expansion, getting that ready to go. Just going to be seeing a couple of Reapers continuing out onto the map, so away we go. You just kind of move through. Clem going to get aggressive to begin with. And he's still building 2 Reapers at once, a Hellion. He did this against Innovation in World Team League recently as well, and he kind of just out-microed him, honestly, and won the game, but really don't see that happening against Maru. Well, Reapers, Hellions continuing through the centers, Clem moving around. A couple more Reapers going to be moving out. Like I said, at some point you got to attack with this, but that Widow Mine from Maru is likely to get a lot done as well. As we do catch 1 Reaper that's kind of moving down to the bottom side here. Sneaking by, 1 Widow Mine does get 1 Reaper gets given up for the Widow Mine. The Hellions aren't hitting anything useful though, they're hitting the Mule. And by hitting the Mule, you're not really putting damage out on the other units, right? So that's a little bit of a shame. I'm just going to go into a Banshee to follow this up as Maru sets up into his Raven and his Siege Tank. And we just keep this going. So Raven, Siege Tank, all of this continue to come on through. I'm just gonna see a Raven coming up on either side. Siege Tank on either side. Sorry guys, I'm getting like super spammed hardcore by idiots, and I'm trying to block them, and I just can't focus on casting. I might just turn the stream off. I just can't bother to deal with this. I just want to cast some freaking Starcraft. People are spoiling me. People are just calling me shit. Sorry, let me just give me like 1 sec to try and close a couple things. Alright. So, a couple of SCVs going down as Clem continues through. Let's see a couple of extra racks continuing up. SCVs are building, and just going to be seeing Clem continuing to get established in this game number 1. With the extra racks coming up that little bit faster, Maru will be trailing a little bit in that unit production setup, or in that production lines in general. So, see how this goes, as we just have Banshee coming back around to the upper left. A few Marines there, going to try and push the Banshee away. Oh, it's a nice lock-on. Banshee takes so much damage. I mean, one Banshee's meant to put on a little bit of pressure. Isn't really ever meant to achieve all too much. And to be fair, I mean, in this case, it's not going to do much at all, but it is a shame to take the damage on it, because then it removes the chance of maybe getting a couple of kills here or there. Maru is going to start moving out down to the bottom side of the map. So away we go with that army. These couple of tanks now going to start sieging. As they're going to get set up, the reactor going to be taking some damage as well. Reaper's going to hop up into the main base. They're going to trace that Cyclone, and now Clem's got the chance to maybe get some SCV kills for sure. Tank pops out. What a time for that tank to show up. It's going to be the defense against those Reapers. Nice grenade. Doesn't push the tank further back, but 3 workers killed. Clem is being attacked on his third base, though. He did not notice that Maru's army was moving across to the other side, so now Clem is going to go on the defense. Moves in over here. I mean, Maru has 3 Ravens, by the way, so a lot of energy to be utilizing. Clem, remember, there's one tank at least on Maru's main base. Auto turrets go down to clean that up. It is going to go down, right? Yes, auto turrets do get that. So we enter full-on base trade territory here as Clem pushes up into the main base. Starting to get a lot done. These couple of Ravens moving around. Matrix's auto turrets, as obviously Maru wants to clean out this main of Clem ASAP. The problem is now all of these Ravens go down. Clem's going to maintain air control of this Viking production. On the other side, tanks coming through. Vikings landing, Marines firing. There's a couple of Marines going to need to drop. There is one tank that's going to get up here, though, from Maru. And Clem, he's not going to have the advantage. Oh, he does get it. The auto turret helps to make it a one-shot from his own siege tank. Now his own tank is going to go down, though. Maru's still producing. Well, Clem doesn't have army supply anymore. He's got a work advantage, but his army has dropped off. Clem really needs to get, like, I mean, I think he just popped out a siege tank. He needs a siege tank to start defending right now. Problem is, Maru's already mining back off of his natural expansion. That's landed again already. Combat shield, medevac, all this setting up. Extra Marines producing through, and just going to be seeing now units of Clem trying to hold out. I mean, this, honestly, it looked really good for Clem, but it swung against him so quickly. And did he lose a command center here as well? I believe he's back down to only 2 bases, while Maru will have 3 to help stabilizing. Tank setting up, just holding out, just going to be seeing a couple mules dropping down on that 6 o'clock position. As you just see our units of Maru moving forward a little bit. This Marine tank army coming through. I mean, Maru still doesn't quite have an army supply lead. The biggest issue for Clem is just going to be a 3rd CC, right? He has got Marines. Oh, that's a beautiful stim in. There's one single siege tank here that will just fire initially on a single Marine split ahead. This is a great counter in from Clem, using this stim to his advantage. He's going to go for this deep, but you should get SCVs, though, right? Like, he's going for the orbital now. Units are going to show up. I mean, yeah, he's got combat shields as well, by the way, Clem, right now, so that gives him a little advantage in these trades as well. As the medevac goes down, the other Marines getting picked off. We are just going to be seeing these Marines of Clem going to start moving through, so out into the center of the map, he's actually going to bring his larger army out here. And he does have the army supply advantage in a game where now he trails heavily in SCVs. I feel like he really thought he could get the command center there, but then it would have just been... He could have had so many more SCVs kills already. I just don't see what he's going to do to break this position of Maru. And that's the issue, right? If you're not going to break this position, well, then that SCV kind of Maru is going to come on through. He's going to catch back up in army supply anyway. Oh, those few Marines of Maru just slipped by the way. That is massive. As Clem sieges up here, that's going to be in range of at least these couple of depots. Oh, it was in range of a tank, actually. And hey, that's a fantastic start. Air control That is going to be in Maru's favor as Clem moves through. He wants to get rid of that tank. He's not target firing the siege tank, though. I feel like the Marines have to get on that siege tank ASAP in that situation, but they just don't. Yeah, these few Marines that stood by. Clem was so close to seeing those, by the way. That would have been so nice. As at least now Clem is going to deny Maru from mining off the natural expansion. So the natural expansion can't mine. Still got that third CC in the main. Okay, now the natural does come back down here. Looks as though Clem doesn't have the coverage to stop it from being down on the ground. Another tank getting siege. We'll scan. We'll get rid of a few of these SCVs. I mean, Clem's position is alright, but I just feel as though, well, that's a Liberator, right? And that's the air control of Maru that's going to show up and basically just push Clem back. And now what does Clem have? Down at base. Base is already in a weird position as well. Like, trying to hold this left-hand side is going to be kind of weird for Clem, too. Let's see how 1-1 upgrade's about to finish from Maru. That is massive, the 1-1. That's going to mean that Clem's Marines are just nowhere near as effective in comparison. It's going to make a big, big difference. The army's still moving around here from Clem, trying to figure out which direction to go in. Clem just never built SCVs as well, by the way. Like, he just sat on the SCVs that he had and really didn't advance that. Like, Clem's been essentially all-inning this entire time, but how do you break, like, a position that Maru has? Like, you just kind of don't, and that's what I don't get about it. I mean, Clem has had time to rebuild up otherwise. I mean, maybe he really felt like it was just now or never. Just the lack of a third CC really hurt Clem at the end of the day, right? It just hurt him more so than anything else here, I think. I was just going to be seeing our Marines from Clem moving up to the top side, up the left-hand side. Marine tank of Clem coming around. Another scan from Maru out in the center, keeping track of this. That's going to be seeing our Marine tank force moving forward a little bit. I mean, Maru's just slowly breaking now. He's going to create space for his third base. I mean, Clem just doesn't have air control, so that Liberator is just something he can't fight against. He's down an upgrade, and it's only going to get worse, as well as 2-2 is already on the way up as well here from Clem. From Maru, sorry. So Maru's getting 2-2, while Clem gets +1 armor. Oh, the tank's just on siege to get out of the libs. Now the Marines are going to strike, and this is just not a fair fight because of the upgrade difference. And this is how Maru's going to sweep through to win game number 1. Pretty close affair, pretty back and forth. A pretty interesting first map of this series. Clem missing Maru's army moving across, but most importantly, I just think the little things, right? Just Clem really committed to ending this game, and there was just no way for him to end the game. So Maru did exactly what he needed to do, and now Clem, obviously, he has a third CC up now, but yeah, the lack of, Maru really just planned for the future, the double upgrades, all that kind of stuff. And those are just the things that really will see Maru through to victory here. I mean, that's why he won that last fight so convincingly, because his Marines are just that much better. His Marines are just that much better. Tank's going to be sieged up. Marines going to try and drop in the back. SCVs are going to be in some trouble. The tank's pushing up a little bit, trying to get a little bit of a siege going on. I mean, at the end of the day, I think we can just see that Clem's army is just not going to cut it at the end here, so... You're going to see a bit of a stim forward now. Maru going to chase on forward. Medevacs have to go running. And Clem is just going to... I mean, if Maru just continues across the map, he'll get on top of Clem's bases, and he's going to deny essential mining for Clem in this game, and that really is just going to be what it takes to wrap this up. Marine's going to stim through. I'm going to try and hold on, but, I mean, the air control, right? Vikings, the chance to have a Liberator. Clem is trying to make Vikings of his own now to get back into this, but definitely not seeming all too hot. As we're going to stim in from a little bit of a surround from Clem, perhaps. trying to fight this. Tanks are firing, but just not going to get the job done. GG, and Maru is going to take the first map of this best of 5. Okay, number 2 of this best of 5. Maru leading 1-0. SCV slipping away to build their wall ups, I believe. Nothing too crazy. As we get this up and running. Maru really winning just a very tricky game in game number 1. Not an easy one to win out because it is a weird position on either side, right? It's a weird position for both. I really felt like Clem was doing a lot better, but then he really traded badly in the... At some point in the base trade, Clem's army supply dropped off a lot, and that was when I was like, wait a sec, what the... Because that really kind of came out of nowhere in my eyes. It really felt like it came out of nowhere, so... It's kind of a little bit of a surprise, I suppose. As we get this underway. Clem is going to proxy a racks. He's going to go 2 racks in total, which is... This is something that Clem really likes to do. Proxy run racks, keep 1 racks at home. It's essentially a 2 racks Reaper, right? But... And like I say, because one's proxied, you don't quite get... Yeah, a bit of like the speed on a reinforcement. It's more difficult to scout as well. So here we go. First Reaper on the way up on the proxy. Now Maru is going to go 2 gas, which helps you a lot on the defense. Just going to be seeing a couple of Reapers on the way through then. And now Maru actually gets to see it as well, so he actually does figure out what's going on. As the Reaper kind of comes on through, going to head up to this high ground. Just going to be seeing a command center dropping in from Maru high ground as well. So he knows he's got to play the defense here, and that's exactly what he'll try to do. Raise that Debo just to block Clem off that little bit. So it goes to play for that. Is just going to be seeing our Alien producing to join up with these couple of Reapers. And Clem obviously still producing Reapers here, so we'll see what he wants to try and do. Remember last game, Clem also started off with that like very Reaper Hellion heavy opening. Look to try and get a lot done. And he didn't really achieve much of anything, right? Like, it kind of just flopped. It really wasn't too successful in the slightest, so... These Reapers are going to hold out down the low ground as... Maru just kind of sitting up the high ground a little bit. And it's going to be tough for Clem to really bust through and to try and... work this out. Uh-oh, Clem's actually in some trouble. He's actually going to lose out on a Reaper. Good grenades are going to save the rest of them. That could have absolutely been a lot more trouble in here for Clem, and he actually made a good job of it, so... Can he get away still? Obviously, Hellions are faster than Reapers, so it does create this awkward circumstance. He does at least turn for 1 Hellion kill. Grenade! Perfect, I think! Brilliant grenade! My goodness! Clem's micro. Micro to perfection right there. Oh, the grenades are so good! I just shouldn't have fought at the very end, right? Hellion shows up. Grenade again is good, but you're going to lose another Reaper. My god, honestly, this was... The only mistake Clem made there, I think, was, well, that. But also the moment where he turned to fight the 2 Reapers, because I feel like he had 2 Reapers just such low HP, and I think that was just the wrong moment. That was just the wrong moment to pick a fight, guys. Other than that, the grenades and the micro there was absolutely superb. That was really something. Credit to Clem. That was making the most out of the situation for sure, because it started off pretty bad for him, and then Hellions can chase and everything as well. He continues around. The Siege Tank putting some damage out on it. Marine going to put some damage in. We do have the medevac of Clem. Moving toward the upper left-hand side, so he's now going to get aggressive himself to follow this up. Tank is going to siege. These Marines drop down. SCV already gets cleaned out. I'm just going to be seeing this orbital command center taking some damage as well. It's just going to be seeing that orbital taking a few shots right now. And those Marines do sneak forward to grab an SCV. Kind of wanted to get the siege tank there, doesn't quite manage it. Let's see, this tank actually going to get lifted up. Clem gets out without taking any damage himself, of course, so Maru's still ahead, a couple of workers. I mean, it's a difference that is, you know, going to add up over time, but it's definitely not one where you should be looking at this and being like, oh my god, game-ending damage, or anything like that, right? So, Maru already has that third CC ready to move out. Does Clem have a third CC himself? I feel like he might not, for the fact that he's got Stim on the way, a Viking building. Yeah, because he's got the 2 racks set up. He never started a third CC yet. Wow. So Clem is going to have to be the one to deal some damage. He's going to see this third base. He knows what the situation is. But he needs to get something done, else he's going to end up in some trouble. That Cyclone gets cornered, so that's a cute little drop location. As the Raven comes forward, Clem's not going to risk it any longer. He's just going to pick up and get out of there for the moment. So it's going to back away from that. 5 SCVs went down across the map, though. So Clem taking damage. He's not really in a position to be taking damage, though. So it's a little unfortunate as we're going to drop off here. He really wants to get rid of this depot. A medevac so nearly going down. He does get the depot virate burning down as well, though. So that's something. Like I say, Clem needs to stay aggressive. I mean, he's about to have Stim. Can he break Maru? Can he do anything to really shut Maru down? And to really take away from the fact that Maru has that third CC? I'm going to find out here soon as there's Ravens available. I mean, Ravens here from Maru. They're going to come through. Auto turrets go down on either side. But Clem didn't even bother to siege the second tank because I think he just didn't even really want this fight. He just kind of ended up in it. Yeah, that's a bit rough. Well, just going to be seen our third CC of Clem is now up and ready to move out. So he's actually going to get the third CC landed before Maru will. So that's something. Maru's still on a 9-worker lead, mind you. Clem, a little bit of an army lead, but obviously we've not really seen him with many openings to take advantage of that anyway just yet. So it's kind of a so-so, isn't it? Kind of a so-so as we just continue through. This medevac's going to load up, everything joined together. A few extra Marines going to jump into the medevacs. And across the map we will begin to head as Clem takes his army off to the top side of the map. So starting off with that, away we go to keep on being aggressive, right? I mean, that's kind of the whole point of Clem's game so far. He does have Stim against no Stim, so if he can somehow get in a position to utilize that, that could be absolutely massive for him. That could be huge. There you go, we start to drop into the main base. A couple of Vikings going to hit that Raven. An auto turret will go down and try and deflect those Vikings a little bit. Clem I mean, this is the exact sort of place you want to be in. Stim from Maru is going to go down. It's going to get killed off. So no Stim from Maru now. Tank did just spawn, does get away. You know, all of these SCVs are in trouble. Looks as though Maru's going to try and come forward, lands the Vikings. Extra Marines popping out as well. Is that going to get the job done? It looks like it might. Compared to Maru, he just pulled off a defense that looked... I mean, he still obviously lost a good few units and a good few SCVs, 19 workers killed. He kind of puts himself in a pretty playable position, right? Marines is going to be continuing around. Vikings, Marines, and tanks continuing to get set up at the moment. Well, Clem substantially takes a lead in this game. 60 SCVs to 54, 49 to 46 army supplies. Doing fantastic right there as these few Vikings and Maru are going to come around the top. They're going to try and hold out that top side position for the moment. Armory. Also on the way through. The racks coming through. Vikings. Obviously trying to maintain air control will be important. Now it is romanticide. If there's ever a map to kind of defend on after losing giving up your lead to the opponent, this is probably the map to do that on. So getting this set up. Marine tank medevac force continues through. Clem's going to try and go the left side. So trying to push the issue a little bit on this map, which I mean, Clem is no stranger to playing nice long games on this map. He really is not. He is somebody who has done this time and time again against Soul and Hero Marine on the European server and the European weeklies. You know, these guys, they end up in these situations a lot. So we'll see what Clem can do. I mean, I think Clem's very aware of the fact that he shouldn't just be able to, like, dive on in and win the game or anything crazy. Like I say, we'll see what he wants to bring out at the end of this all. Marines and tanks just going to sit between that natural and third base. Just going to have Maru really getting established here. Couple libs on the way up from Maru. I mean, that's going to be big as well if you can actually get up into some kind of air control. Once he catches up on combat shield, that initial stim denial doesn't really mean much anymore. And that's one of the big things, right? Denying stim is great, but we've not been able to really see any way in which Clem can take advantage of having stim over Maru not having stim, right? So that's where one of that, that's where that advantage slips away to. Is Maru, by the way, going to take the backward base at 12 o'clock instead of the forward base like Clem just takes. That really suggests being defensive and just kind of being laid back. Doesn't really give you a lot of attack paths to attack through from. So Maru's just looking as though he wants to play a really slow game. As a couple of SCVs go down and Marines, Clem is going to come across and get a bit of cleanup there as well. That's this army hanging around the top. Just going to be seeing Clem moving through to the center. This army continue to settle down. Pushing over, Clem is going to come across and yeah, and just kind of hold his own positions. There's a few Marines stimming around here. I mean, at this point, we are just going to kind of draw out until it goes to a maxed out game. So I think it's really important to bring up when they played in the World Team League, because when they played in World Team League, they had a game like this where it got really drawn out. And Maru turned the game around, I believe, with, I think, a lot of Ravens versus Clem's decision to play Viking Liberator. It was a very interesting kind of, it was a very interesting game where Maru really was behind a lot of the game, but like I say, good army compositions and good army fights really brought him back into it over time, so yeah, no, it's one which I imagine is going to be kind of, well, most likely in probably going to be I just want to prefer Maru in these situations, right? Unless Clem can look back at that game and maybe pick up pick up his faults and make some decisions and do some things differently. Couple tanks getting sieged on up as we continue to establish here now. It's going to be Clem pushing the top side 12 o'clock base, so he's going to make that move in right now. This tanks get sieged, one tank getting blown up pretty much immediately. That forward structure going down too, and Clem, that's why he's going to try and put his own air control into the action. Maru trying to get rid of the Liberators initially. He does target them down, but that gives Clem a chance to take the Viking lead. As Clem does push on into a pretty good position here to begin with. He's going to edge a few more tanks forward. Let's see if he can take down this tank of Maru. He should be able to, right? 2 versus 1. It's a 1-for-1 trade, but that's a couple SCVs with it, and of course he's gaining position. Only thing to be careful of is what if Maru just fully swings through to the other side of the map from the middle. That's something which Clem could respond to, but right now he doesn't have any real information on it until Maru crosses the halfway point of the map. Maru could also wrap around this. Clem is just so Viking heavy, by the way. It's actually kind of crazy just how much this game from him comes down to air control. He's going to get dropped as well. He just kind of let these units he just kind of gave up on that position. I'd love to see the unit tab for once, actually, because I feel like the unit tab here is kind of fascinating as to what's actually around. These tanks kind of protect themselves after a bit of a skirmish. And Clem is just so Viking Liberator heavy. He doesn't really have much support, and 5 libs currently building at a time. He has to be so careful about Marines. If Marines can get in position, the thing is, usually you have tanks to like zone Marines out. In this situation, it doesn't even seem like he has tanks, right? So, what are you gonna do here? What What are you going to do here as we see the tanks continue to move on through? Tanks just sieging up. I mean, Clem has really focused around that top side position a few times now, right? That kind of upward push to the top, which is something I was going to say is kind of weird because you don't usually see it, but you don't usually see it because you don't usually see that fourth base being taken. That's why Clem is pushing there. And usually you take the fourth base that Clem takes, then you take the fifth base, and you move up the right-hand side, and the bottom or top bases come later in the game. That is absolutely not how this is playing this turn around. It's just going to be seeing our tank sieging and picking away at turrets still. These libs have range, right? So there's a unit tab. 7 tanks for Clem, 14 Marines, 23 Vikings, and 10 libs. And Maru's going to play Raven, Marine, Tank, Viking. So Maru really is focusing on the Raven count, and that's exactly what he did last time they played in a situation like this. And it worked out for him in the longer game. It looks like we might, I mean, maybe we start having a little bit of a repeat here. Maybe a little bit of a repeat. Yeah, the problem is Maru has so many tanks as well. When he takes a position, it's a dominating position. Oh, the friendly fire for the double kill! No, 2 tanks go down in friendly fire right there. That is brutal as these couple of libs are going to clean up on the bottom side. Maru's army is just so much more mobile, while Clem's army is great once it's set up. Getting into position for Clem is going to be the difficulty. He's going to start pushing back this base. Definitely seems like he's going to, you know, finally take this down. But Maru's already expanding down the left, so he's probably pretty comfortable on his base count. He's probably pretty happy with that. I mean, these are just very difficult games to play out because, I mean, obviously you're playing against top players here, but these are just kind of the sort of compositions that are very tricky. You know, it can go, you know, it can swing either way very quickly as well if you're not careful and paying attention and stuff, so yeah, a lot to be watching out for. As you do see another command center on the left-hand side. The push from Maru down to the south. There's Libs, Vikings, Marines, all of this coming up. That planetary force gets taken down. Maru is just going to come in here again. Clem just doesn't have the defenses needed to deal with this. And that's kind of the problem with having so many Vikings, right? Like, the few tanks he has have been taken down by these interference matrices. Then Liberators, do they really make a difference against that many Marines? I'm kind of surprised Maru didn't commit fully in there. I thought he probably could have just gone for it, and he's going to kind of go now. The Vikings are going to land. But Clem is pushed back into an awful spot, and Clem really does struggle to kind of take down Maru in these kind of games, I think. He really does just struggle. I mean, he's getting BCs now, but Clem, who was the player moving around a lot and was making a lot of the movement and stuff like that, you know, now he really is the player that's then in the last few minutes just being kind of bullied around, and Maru just showing that straight up air control of Vikings does not mean everything at all in this matchup, and Maru's army movement has just been stellar. He's getting to this kind of position as well. And so it looks as though these Vikings going to trade out. These Ravens are in a little bit of trouble maybe, but they're getting a lot done anyway. And again, a lot done is just the Ravens coming through. Vikings continue to fight back, bit of back and forth, just continuing at the moment. Tank and attack action coming on through here, and just going to be seeing our army of Clem backed up into a corner. He doesn't really have anywhere to run to. DC's kind of jump in, and then they get interference matrix, so then they can't even do much. Yeah, I think Clem went way too hard on the air control, which is such a weird thing to say about TvT, but he just had so many Vikings and Libs, it felt like he had nothing else to really support. And I think if you get up to like BCs and stuff, it can be very good, but it just didn't really happen here, right? GG's, and game number 2 goes the way of Maru for the 2-0 lead. As a map, Blackburn can play a bit similar to Romanticide in the sense of it can be difficult to attack into your opponent's bases a lot of the time. Let's see how this goes. Reloading up. Clem definitely just seeming to not have an answer later game. He gets in a good spots. He just can't put the finishing touches to these TvTs. That's the issue. Let's see what Clem comes out with here on Blackburn. I mean, it really feels like he's got to win. I think he can win the early game. Like, that is possible. We have been seeing that. We have been seeing that. I just kind of wonder, like, can he turn the early game win into an actual end game win, right? That's the problem. He's just not been able to convert there just yet. Seems like it's a problem a lot of the time in this TvT matchup. But down this bottom side, moving through a little bit as we get set up to party. Actually going to be done in the main base there from Maru in a few moments, and just going to have a little bit of Reaper on Reaper action kind of breaking out as well, so a little bit of fun starting to take place as we do got our SCV production continuing, all that kind of stuff. Pretty friendly game, right, with both of them just kind of going into the CC at the same time, etc. Not really much between the two of them at the moment. And hence on we go. Waiting for the next step of this. Also, Karen, thank you so much for the 58-month resub. Also, thank you very much. Previous subs coming in just disappointed on the 8-month resub. Appreciate it. And sub solo on the 3 months. Thank you guys. Appreciate the support. Hope you're all doing well today. I feel like the sounds keep changing today. Like, I feel like everything's just really quiet today on this clean feed. But then the music between the games is like deafening in comparison. There's so much effort to try and keep changing, and I don't know what I like changed to before, so apologies if the sounds keep on being a little inconsistent today, guys. Just trying to keep it up as best we can. As that Cyclone's gonna have a good lock on. Clem loses a Hellion, and early Reaper Hellion will not do much as Raven production has begun. Maru's gone straight to that tank. And he's gonna go Raven as well. Okay, I was just wondering about the Raven, if he was gonna have one of those himself, as again so far just a Hellion going down from Clem. Nothing too major though, nothing too crazy there. Maybe from Maru wants to scout out what's going on. Pretty standard, right? I think the one thing you just double checking is to see if there's a third CC maybe already even on the way. Just trying to see if Clem is trying to eke out anything super quick, or even if he's just putting racks down before third CC. Well, the third CC is at a pretty normal time right here. What you do see from this is that you see that this is a I think what you do see from this is that you you know, put yourself into a these Reaper's gonna grab a Reaper as well. You put yourself in a position where you see that there's no racks already starting, right? So you know the racks, which are cheaper than a Barrett command center, on the way. So like I say, the scout just come to something. Sorry, that was a bad moment or two. Trying to explain it. Sometimes explaining Starcraft's difficult, guys. Is Clem gonna take bad tank shots, man? That was not it. That was not it. I see these units coming through. Just going to be seeing a couple of auto turrets going down already. Bunch of auto turrets going down for Maru to clean up Clem. I need to turn the volume up, guys. It's really... I feel like it's getting quieter the more the game goes on. So, a few auto turrets. Clem's attack gets cleaned up, and Maru is able to push on through this. And Clem just comes out a bit down on army supply. I mean, otherwise he's pretty even in the game. In fact, he's ahead on stim. And we'll see if he can do anything with that. See if he can maybe make something happen or not. Tanks continue to move on through and setting up a little bit. Obviously, this is where you kind of have that big standoff in the middle of the map, right? It's very difficult to really move through on this map because where else do you go? If you go around the top, you're going to be seen so far ahead of time. You know, or just like notice. So it takes you so long to go around the top. You really open yourself for too long to the counterattacks. You're too weak for too long, and then through this direct attack in the center. So it definitely makes this a little bit more funky. It's just going to be seeing our push of Clem continuing through. Viking's going to fire. Gets one Raven already. Now going for a Viking. Is actually going to get a couple kills here. I mean, these are pretty critical kills, right? They do a lot for you. Put out a lot of value as Clem keeps on pushing forward with this air control. He's really working wonders this time. Clem, can he just close this game out before Maru gets into the stage where he just seems to be the absolute favorite in this situation? Which we've seen multiple times from him against Clem now as of late in this series and the previous series they played. Vikings continue over. Those tanks are going to stay set up as well. Like I say, you're pushing forward here as Clem, but are you going to be able to get all the way forward? Are you really going to be able to break through this position? I'm going to really go ahead and say probably not. As Vikings start to fire, Medevac and Ravens taking some damage as well. I'm still trying to push through to the center of this. So do have the army of Clem continuing to push. He's got a Liberator now. He's going to try and take a little bit more control of this. There's one tank on that low ground, by the way, or the high ground, that lower position. He's going to get slowly just pushed into that high ground, which is kind of a weird place to be, right? He's actually going to get a tank kill here, Maru. So that's actually pretty good, as that Liberator will turn around and try and grab that kill. Can Maru find a break, is my question, right? Like, is there a way for him to break out of this? Is there, like, some kind of magical setup that's he's got planned that's going to be the answer to this situation, which does not look good for him at all just yet? Vikings and Livs all setting up. Guys, I don't know what is there. There's some really weird, like, low, bassy buzz. Sorry, that's all that I thought, because these tanks are going to come through. The Marines are going to fight. Clem didn't stim for a while. Clem's got 1-1 upgrades as well. Why didn't his Marines fight? Oh, Clem, his Marines just were behind the tanks and they got caught up. And now his Marines didn't fight when his Marines had the upgrade advantage. That was the moment that Clem kind of wanted to go. Oh, sorry, am I reading this the wrong way around? Is Maru's Marines on 1-1? Sorry, Maru's Marines on 1-1. Oh, maybe that is why Clem didn't fight. 1-1 against 0-0 is obviously a substantial lead. Maru just pushes out and suddenly is moving across the map. There's a Liberator sieging up, but there's only one tank, so Clem's going to commit, get rid of the Lib at least. Now Clem's going to fight through, and wow, Maru's just going to turn this around and make it happen. Well, Maru just destroyed Clem, guys. Simple as that. Wasn't really even close, was it?